Better be. Okay. We'll call the meeting to order Tuesday, December 17th, 2018 at 6 p.m. for the City of Saratoga Springs City Council special meeting. Present tonight, I have Councilman Porter, Councilwoman Barch, Councilman Wilden, and Councilman Podeska. Councilman McComber is excused. So we have a quorum. We have one item on the agenda at the request of the county commissioners. A business item, the consideration and approval of a resolution supporting and encouraging the Utah County Commission to implement the fourth quarter cent sales tax option for transit and roadway maintenance and improvements resolution R18-65.
Mayor and Council, just real quick, I presented to you tonight a copy of the November 29th MAG agenda item number 3, which was MAG's approach and explanation real quickly of what this is. Just as a quick reminder, the state had an item that county or cities and counties could enact quarter cent sales tax. I can't remember, about what, 2 years ago? 2 years ago, it was not approved. Then they came back and said, okay, because of the distribution, it didn't pass here in Utah. They came back and they passed SB 136, which changes the distribution formula. And then basically cities and counties either need to act proactively or there's possibly punitive measures, and I'll let you talk about that as you're a little bit more informed on that. Just so everyone is aware, Saratoga Springs would generate almost $800,000 worth of revenue at $790,000 worth of revenue. And if we took option number 1, which includes a UTA at 40%, the city would also collect 40% of that, and then the county would get 20% of that. And so the city's share of that would be about $316,000 is what they're projecting. If, and that is if the county takes action and approves the item. And then if the county does not, then there's a window of time that opens up whereby cities could enact that, which if we did it, it would be at 50%, and then the state would take the rest. And that would mean that the city would collect $395,000 a year at that formula. So with that, I know some of you have participated in MAG and might have additional information. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And the question before you tonight really is the resolution of, do we want to send a resolution of support to the county, encouraging them to adopt this, generating more money for the city?
Councilwoman Barch.
Mayor, if you'd like, I can kind of discuss what we've talked about in our MAG meetings. So just from the legislature 2 years ago, the legislature last year, and then our MAG meetings, this is kind of a giant blackmail piece from the legislature. Originally, the blackmail was is if you don't pass this, then the state is going to take it, and they're going to enact it and take all of the road money. They switched that out at the last minute, last legislative session, and took that part away from it, so technically that doesn't exist. However, in all of our meetings recently, they've said we also have a fifth quarter sales tax coming up that is available for road maintenance. It's not going to have a UTA portion to it, and if you don't enact this, you will never, ever be able to have that fifth quarter. So again, a little bit of a piece of blackmail there. Some of the benefits of this would be that it can be used for road maintenance where our normal BNC road funds can't be. It is strictly for road construction. Obviously, some of the disadvantages is, as our residents voted 2 years ago, it still has that UTA portion, either at 40% or 50%, depending on which option the county takes. So I think basically we just need to decide. I mean, obviously, I think as a city, we know that we could use additional funding for roads. That's always something we can use. I think we've encouraged the county, if they're going to do it, to just enact it. I know one of the commissioners has talked about the fact that he doesn't want to do it without a vote, and I understand that. The other two are basically just wanting cover from us saying, yes, we should do it or not. So Mayor Miller and I have been pretty adamant that the residents voted against this originally, but we also recognize that the county's kind of going to do what the county's going to do. So
we've been very adamant against UTAs.
Against UTA's portion of it.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. So that's kind of the update from all of our meetings. If any questions for Mark or Mayor or I?
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Are we going to discuss this at all, or are we just going to?
Well, that's what we were asking, if there's more. Okay. You got something?
Yeah, I have a lot to say, but I'll try and keep it short because I know you guys don't really want to sit here and listen to us drone on. I think that first off, I think that Commissioner Lee is absolutely correct in asking to have it go to the residents if they would like to overturn themselves. You know, we are a representative republic. I represent the people I answer to are not MAG. It's not the state. It's not the county. It's the residents of Saratoga Springs. They were very clear, I think 2-to-1, by a 2-to-1 margin almost, that they were not in favor of this tax. And I will honor that with my vote tonight. I'm tired of the threats and the blackmail from the state and from the county saying, well, if you want your own money back, you have to do this, you have to do that. At some point, we have to stand on principle and say this tax is patently unfair and that the money is being wasted on a transit district which hasn't given us any services really, other than one marginally useful bus in the mornings, and the rest of the money's been squandered on numerous projects, and I mean UTA is a mess. So I do not support this tax at the county level. If we want to have that discussion as a city in 2 years, if I'm still here, then I'll gladly have that conversation and we can talk about it, how it benefits the city. But I do not think that at the county level, it should be approved without a vote by the residents of the county. I would feel the same about a city vote. I think if the residents want to overturn themselves, that's one thing, but I'm not going to sit up here and do it for them.
Councilman Podeska?
So that's why I like having these meetings, is because we find out even more information kind of last minute. I had good conversations with our State House representative who voted against this bill. One of the caveats is that what I want to kind of find out is it doesn't specify it's going to UTA, it's specifying going to transportation. And so the reason I didn't call our state senator on this is because he does have his own transportation network that he's trying to put together, and it's in direct conflict of interest, in my opinion, in him voting in favor of that bill. And so when we have gripes about UTA, we don't know what transportation network we're going to have in a couple of years. And so knowing that caveat was taken out the last minute from that bill, as far as the mandate, or saying that the state has already passed it, because that was my understanding, is they already passed the tax, and that we can either choose to voluntarily approve it, and we get a portion of that, or if we don't, then we get no portion of that. And so that's when I wanted some clarification on that. It looked like you had.
So they haven't actually passed it. What they did is they enacted the bill allowing the counties to enact the tax. So it's a possibility that's out there. It wasn't a possibility before. So it's a possibility that the counties can then enact that tax. So it's not actually enacted yet. Mm-hmm. In some of the other counties that passed the original bill 2 years ago through the vote of the people, then it's enacted in those counties. But Salt Lake County didn't pass it. We didn't pass it. And Weber maybe didn't pass it. Or Weber did. I think there were 3 or maybe 4 that didn't pass it. And most of those were the ones with UTA specific counties.
Yeah, and isn't that sending a clear message that they need to redo UTA?
Yeah, absolutely.
If they want to take our residents' money.
Yeah.
And shoot, there's one more question. Skipped my mind there. But at any rate, that's where when it doesn't seem like it's already a past tax, mm-hmm. I'd be much more happier to have future discussions than being rushed into something that doesn't seem to be necessary this time.
Just real quickly, UTA got a pretty massive overhaul at the legislature this year. And so the UTA that existed before does not exist in the same pattern. I'm not.
Is that because of the new branding that they spent?
No. No, they gutted and changed it, and,
They
you know,
changed the board.
Okay.
they changed the governance structure, and so, anyway, just as a point of clarification, that
that's my
is
question.
substantially changed.
So I just remember my question. So in addition to this, how does this affect our relationship with MAG? Is that going to curtail any future funding through them to our city?
So,
No, the only thing would be on if the county passes it on the county portion, that would go through our normal regional transportation planning.
If the county doesn't pass it?
If the
though?
county does pass it, no
Uh-huh.
matter, how, like, they get it. If they pass it as a whole county, or after some of the cities start passing it, their portion of it would go through our normal regional transportation planning. So, I mean, there might be a little bit of kickback from some of the cities saying, well, why should you get some of this funding because you didn't support it? But the overall funding is a much higher amount than their small 20% portion.
Thanks.
okay. Councilman Porter?
Just to Councilman Podeska's point, and to something Mark said, yes, UTA was overhauled, but we have yet to have representation as a county on that board. State has deemed it fit to tax us without representation once again. And then to your point about the crisis, this is somewhat of a manufactured crisis. This is really a money grab by the county. If we support them and they pass it tomorrow night, then they will stand to get $6 million off the top during the first year without any money coming to build roads
for the community and the residents, right?
That is true. Or to pay back projects that are currently
Correct.
have already been paid for, and
Pay back
to pay
BRT.
back BRT or something like that. So this is, the crisis is, and the reason we're doing this at the last minute is because the county has decided that they want to go after that money, so.
Okay, Councilman Wilden?
I guess I have a little different perspective. If they do pass it, our residents get 60% between the county and us. If they don't pass it, they get 50%. That's just what it boils down to. It's going to get passed one way or another, and I would prefer, since our hands are being forced a little bit, to keep as much local to our residents as possible, which does include the county. Even though we don't have a lot of county roads, it does benefit us. So I'd rather have 60% go to our residents than 50 if this is going to happen. And then just to make the point, we are a representative form of government, which means we need to represent, not send everything, every single item to the residents for vote. I mean, they voted us to represent, so I am disappointed in the county of not taking a stance. And if we had time, I would suggest that we send this out to every HOA to have them look at it and propose a recommendation to us. And school boards and PT, community service centers, whatever, so that we don't have to take responsibility. So my vote will be based upon keeping as much local now as we can, with the irritation that the representatives that were elected to make decisions won't do it on their own.
Yeah. I would agree with the whole 60 to 50%. I think that's true. That's one of the things that we are able to keep it more local, but that only happens really if the county passes it tomorrow night, which is kind of what we said, man up and do your job, and they haven't really done that as of yet. So
you agreed with my second part?
yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Just a question. We don't actually have the resolution in front of us. Do we have that available? I just wondered the verbiage on it. Is the verbiage on it to actually have them pass it tomorrow night, or is it to have them? Or is it just support in passing in general? Is support for passing in general? Okay. I just want to make sure we knew what it was, so.
As a city, though, with MAG, we voted against UTA every time for the BRT waste of money. When they first came in, they said 60% would be covered by riders. They came back and said 40%. They came back and said we need a free fare zone, and now they've come back and said we need to offer free hamburgers with those who ride.
Okay,
So UTA, we have opposed UTA. So I agree with Councilman Wilden with at least we're keeping 60% instead of giving UTA another 10% to offer free meals on our failed transit system. That's just my thoughts,
They haven't offered me one yet.
because you don't write it.
Oh, good point.
Okay. Mark?
Mayor
Do you
and
have
council?
some?
No.
Okay. Perfect. I will entertain a motion.
I'll move that we, excuse me, I'll move that we approve the resolution supporting and encouraging the Utah County Commission to implement the fourth quarter sales tax option for transit roadway maintenance improvements, Resolution R18-65 dated today, because we want to keep as much of that money local as possible and encourage them to do it themselves quickly so that they can, so we don't have to worry about the possibility of UTA getting more of our local residents' money.
I'll second.
I have a first from Councilwoman Barch, second from Councilman Wilden. Any further discussion on the motion? Do a roll call. Oh, do you have something?
Yeah, I was just going to add, my vote on this is due to the fact of transportation is a huge priority in our city, and that it seems like the tax is going to be passed regardless. So that's all.
Okay. Councilman Porter?
Nay.
Barch?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
Podeska?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-1. Thank you, and we will adjourn the meeting.
Hey.